I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the Eagle Creek Ranger XE 36-liter backpack, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. If you found this video helpful, hit subscribe so we can keep making you content to help you travel smarter. Let's dive in. It looks like there's a lot going on the outside of the bag, but in terms of external features, there's not really that much. So we have a little bike loop down at the bottom here if you wanted to attach a light to here. It looks like a reflective coating, but it's not really super substantial. So, I've definitely seen things more reflective than this. Don't rely on that too much. And then in terms of kind of other things going on here, we have all of these zipper pulls have like a little paracord going through them with these little grippy ends. So you can see that they have like a kind of, I'll bring it up a little bit closer. They have like a little bit of a rounded end to them. So they're really comfortable to grab, kind of like ergonomic, just, not really anything too intense. And then on the sides here, we have compression straps. So these actually just help you lock down the fit of the actual bag itself. I find that the adjustment across the board on this bag is a little bit tough. You can see like if I'm pulling these tight, I just have to put a little bit more effort into it, which is not the end of the world. But I find that with like this little strap here too, you kind of like run out of space. But just in terms of, stuff that's going on the outside of the pack, it is fairly simple, even though it does look a little bit busy. The harness system, however, is where things look a little bit more intense. So up at the top here, we have a little carry handle. It is pretty long, but I never felt like it really was like butting up against my neck or anything. This is for quick grabs. You can see there's no padding or anything on it. And then we have just regular backpack straps here, a sternum strap that is on a rail system. It has, this is an ITW little like, you can like blow in there. It's like a little whistle for safety. And then the rail system here, this is another thing that was really hard to move. These sternum straps, like really, once you get them in place, like they are not going anywhere, which is nice. I guess you don't really want them to go anywhere, so that's good. And then at the bottom here, we have a stowaway hip belt. In order to get this stowed away, you just shove it kind of in this little pocket down here, and then you have a luggage pass-through as well. So a couple team members did say that you could feel like the buckles through the bottom here. I didn't really notice it much, so definitely kind of your mileage may vary with that. And then with the straps and the back panel here, you can see it's like a really dynamic, airy, just like a foam with a lot of holes in it. You don't feel it against your body because the bottom of the shoulder straps are softer. But that is, it's a little bit unique. It has kind of like a ropey look to it, but I didn't find it uncomfortable or anything. Overall, the fit of this backpack is pretty comfortable, like I mentioned. It's a little bit long on my shorter torso. You can see that it kind of like comes down below my lower back, so I can feel it dig in a little bit there over time. The hip belt does help a decent amount to just sort of like lift up, but I've definitely felt more substantial hip belts. And then these little like hip huggers on the back here, they sort of help with comfort as well, but they're really, really small, so they're not super significant. Overall, I think this backpack is pretty comfortable with my smaller frame. The straps are a little bit wide up at the top, so I can feel them cutting into my neck just a little bit. But like I said, overall, it's still a really comfortable fit. I think that what this backpack does really well is that super aerated back panel is really airy. It feels almost like it's like lifting off my back even as I have it on right now. So we're going to start off talking about this stash pocket on the front. So I just shoved a zip-up hoodie in here to give you an idea of what that looks like. You can see that it just looks really lumpy. You can see some of the items that are in this front zippered pocket here, which I'll talk about in a second. And then just overall, it feels like it's just sort of like, it's just like taking up a lot of bulk for not a ton of storage space. So the way that this works is there is a little hook on the front here that just comes undone, and then you have almost this like hooded area up top here that will cover gear if it's taller, and then down into this pocket, which is just truly like the width and length of this front section here. You can stick, you know, whatever gear you want in there. What's really nice about this is that it's a great spot for like a packable like a packable rain jacket or something, because there is a hole down at the bottom here underneath that bike loop, and that'll help allow for drainage. So that is a really great shout. I think this is a good bag for like if you're a little bit more active with all of your travel and things like that. But the one thing that I didn't love about this pocket is that I felt like there was always too much room right here. So you can see that in order to get it to make a sort of like rounded shape, it has to like be full all the way up here, which I never really felt like I needed. And then if I, you know, were to take this out here, just gonna set that to the side and then buckle this back up, that was just really like floppy and loose, and I can't tighten it anymore. So that felt a little bit awkward to me. I didn't have any experience with this hook coming undone, but I did find it kind of like half undone a few times. So something to keep in mind. Again, didn't actually come out, so not a huge deal. On the front here, we have this little zippered pocket. It has a zipper garage so that it can add a little bit of extra weather protection as well. And then in this pocket, I just kind of dumped all of my just quick daily essentials. So I have my phone and my wallet in here. There is a little bit of loose threading around these parts. Just kind of seems like more of a manufacturing thing than actual loose threads that have developed over the course of testing. They don't feel like it's gonna it doesn't feel like it's gonna unravel or anything, I guess. There's no organization in here or anything as well. So if you have small gear, definitely utilize pouches and things like that. And then the last thing that we have are these two water bottle pockets on either side. So I have two different sizes here. I have a 40 ounce, which you can see slips in nice and easy. And then I believe this is 18 ounce Hydro Flask that fits a lot more securely. So these water bottle pockets are pretty wide. You can see like if I do that, they start to slide out. I don't know how often you're going to be doing that, but that is something to keep in mind. But the one thing that I noticed is that when this pack was full, the water bottle pockets felt more secure because the stuff on the inside of the bag was butting out enough to kind of lock it into place. Otherwise, you know, I have this pretty lightly packed right now, and if it's not stuffed to the brim, you do have so much extra space to work with that it just does feel a little bit too loose, a little bit too insecure, depending on your bottle. You saw that 18 ounce one went in really far where the 40 didn't, so definitely smaller bottles are great for these pockets here. All right, so now we are going to go into the main compartment. So this actually opens really, really wide. The one thing that I have an issue with is the compression buckles on the side here. So if you don't want to have to go under them every single time, you're going to have to unclip them. I find that to be a little bit tedious. On the plus side, these are dual zippers, and so you can leave the zippers up at the top and just get quick access, which is a major, for the most part, like what I did. There is a little grip here to help you unzip. I'm just gonna pull this open right now. So the way that this works is it kind of curves to the back, and then it curves around the top and then back down here, and it ends. It doesn't go all the way down, so it's not like a full clamshell or butterfly zipper or anything. It's kind of like, it's like 80% of the way there. So you do have really decent loading access. Another thing is with this fabric welt up at the top that gives you that weather protection. It was just in the way for the most part, so I would like flip it out of the way and then unzip the pack. But then when I went to zip it back up again, I like was it's like lazy. I was just too lazy to like flip it back every single time. So that got a little bit annoying, but more of an aesthetic thing than anything. It never got in the way. But this is how you open up this compartment here. You can see it just gives you like really wide access to this main compartment. I recently tested a Patagonia black hole bag that opened up kind of similarly, but it only opened up from like the top. So it's technically still like a panel loader. Versus this, which feels a little bit more clamshell. So accessibility wise, really great. Like the rest of the bag though, it is a little floppy. I mean, you can see with there being gear in this compartment in the front here and in this zippered pocket, it just kind of flops around. And then if I were to add back in this little jacket, I'm just gonna shove it in there very, very roughly to give you an idea of what it looks like. that starts to kind of butt into this little main area here. You can see that they've accounted for that extra space that it's going to be taking up. Let me get that back in there, and it sort of like juts it out. So it definitely, in terms of like bag design, they really thought that through. But if you do have something in this main compartment as bulky as I currently have, it might start to cut into that main compartment space. So something to keep in mind. Looking at this pocket here, it is just, this is like that mesh material that you find on the back panel and the shoulder straps. A little bit like scratchy, but nothing bad. Plus you're not really like touching this all the time, so it's not that big of a deal. But it's a zippered pocket, really good for just like tech items, things like that. And this is where your key leash is. I think I would have preferred the key leash on the outside of the pack just because, you know, it's a little bit harder to get to it in here. But if you are going somewhere and you don't really need your keys, you just need a place to store them for when you return home, this is nice because it's out of the way. So that's really a preference thing. I was using this over the course of 2 weeks every day. So that's when it got a little bit tedious for me. And then over here, I just have some packing cubes, which I will set to the side. And then we have a laptop compartment. So this has a false bottom. It's a decent amount of storage. And then as you can see that there is space for a water bladder. So this actually, the hose feeds through the back panel here. You can see where my little finger's sticking out. And then if you look at the straps, there are little attachment points here to keep that hose in check. So that is nice as well. And then, you know, this is a 13-inch MacBook Pro. I just have that stored in there, but there is some extra space if you have a larger device. And then you have these attachment points for Eagle Creek's like modular packing organization, like their tech pouches and things, their packet system, I believe it's called. So this is where you can attach those if you like that modularity and you want to keep it at like towards the top of your pack, and so it doesn't, you know, fall down to the bottom. But I do kind of dig that it has like this little, almost like a bucket down at the very base where you can just sort of start like, you start there and then you start loading up. I think it's kind of a great alternative to having like a full clamshell design. You still have a lot of accessibility and a lot of customization without it, you know, opening super wide or being hard to load from the top. So there you have it, the Eagle Creek Ranger XE backpack. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.